The Polyrhythm's 10th annual Bill Bell Jazz and Heritage Festival starts on Friday, August 16th. The three-day event includes a parade, a family fun day, and as always, there is plenty of music. Now, these are images from past events. It's modeled after celebrations held in New Orleans every year. Blues, R&B, Latin, jazz, and other musical styles are represented. There will also be authors at an authors forum. This week, we sat down with one of them to find out what visitors can expect this year. And joining us now is Dr. Burl Randolph. Dr. Burl, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us this week.
Thanks so much, John, for having me on.
You know, you wear many hats. You're an author, you're a business leader, a retired Army colonel. Today, though, I think we're going to focus a little bit on your role as an author. You're going to be part of this forum coming up later this month, but you've been part of this before. Can you kind of look back on the experiences you've had?
Back in 2022, Nate Lawrence and Shirley Morguy had the idea for a Black Authors Forum. And there are more Black authors in the Quad Cities than you would think. There were 30 at that particular forum. Most of us knew each other, but we didn't know each other as authors. The room was packed at the Martin Luther King Center, which is the same place it will be held this year, 60 or 70 people. And just to go around and hear the different stories that the authors were telling, most of them narratives based on personal experiences. And just to hear those stories and know that there were people like that in the community was very, very refreshing. Because a lot of times when you're an author and your book comes out, unless you receive feedback, you have no idea how good it is. You think it's great, but that doesn't mean everyone else thinks it's as great. So it's been a very rewarding experience over the last 3 years.
Is this also an opportunity for people perhaps who are not writers, who are just interested in maybe learning about who is in their community to come and sort of hear from you and hear from others?
Well, definitely, John. That's one of the pillars of why Black Authors Forum was created to inspire, educate, and motivate the next generation of authors so that they could come, hear us, speak with us, ask us questions, build relationships, and possibly even receive a mentor uh, to become for their writing experiences.
Let's talk a little bit about perhaps what you plan to share during the forum later this month.
Fellow authors, aspiring authors in the community in general, that there are authors in our communities. There are great bookstores like the Book Rack and the Brood Book that carry books. There are book racks in Theo's 2.0, and so they carry local author books. Many of the local bookstores carry our books, but we don't necessarily know that. So finding that information, telling people, promoting that, friends, family members, churchgoers, whoever you have contact with. I use business cards with my book on there and tells people where to get it. I have a QR code, and you really have to be front and center with your work because it can be the best book in the world. Great cover, great description, wonderful content. But again, if no one knows it exists, then it's just a great work that no one will ever use.
Let's talk about your work a little bit. I know you have a number of works that you have already published, but let's talk about the latest one, The Iraq I Knew. Can you tell us what that's about and how this is a part of a larger story you plan to tell?
Show you a little bit about it. The Iraq I knew, from Saddam Hussein to weapons of mass destruction to Al Qaeda in Iraq. And book one is Into the Storm. So I've traveled in my 32-year Army career about 20 places, but I only went one place more than once: Iraq, Iraq, and Iraq. And so in the Iraq I knew, uh, Saddam Hussein and Into the Storm, it outlines Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and Desert Storm, which began in August of 1990 and ended in April of 1991. And I wanted the public to know that the things that our military services makes look easy are not easy. All these behind the scenes things that go on are very difficult. From John, from the time we were alerted to the time I was in Iraq was about 60 days. This was our first deployment for many of us. the largest deployment since Vietnam, and to go through all those machinations to include informing your family that you're going to do what soldiers get paid to do, which is fight America's wars, is not very easy. It's not, matter of fact, it's very difficult, but we do it. We make it look easy. We take the mundane, and as one of my reviewers said, make it exciting or seem exciting. And so that even though this is history, this was over 30 years ago, it's contemporary history, it's current, it's now. And so people should know that and what has occurred since then, especially since we just got out of Afghanistan a couple of years ago.
You're absolutely right. It can be very easy to sometimes forget very recent history. Dr. Burl, we appreciate you taking the time, and perhaps more importantly, we appreciate your service to our country. Thank you
Thank
so much.
thank you. Thank you for having me on, John.